Hey, did you guys see Port Priority recently? You know, the big super major in Seattle. While everyone was freaking out about Donkey Kong making top 8 and Tweak's inevitable return, I, a connoisseur of Smash Bros. Swords, was looking below top 8. No, not just at that! Port Priority 9 was the first time in a long time in which two different Corrin players outplaced their seeds. Shattuck, who went on an inspiring loser's run over some of Corrin's more, we'll say, interesting matchups, and Neo beating a top 5 Steve in a 3-1 fashion, and MVD Snake in what some might consider Corrin's worst matchup. It's really awesome to see a relatively mid-speed sortie that used to be considered mid-tier now having a second resurgence in high-level placements. On a completely unrelated note, you guys hear that? Oh no.
Are we talking about niche sorties? Because oh fucking boy do I have a talking point for you.
Hey, look, it's Amber, aka Nora Neko. She's so great and awesome at commentary and deserves major spots and... Amber, I'm not reading all that out. I've wanted to talk about Pit and Smash Ultimate for a while now, but I've never had a great excuse to make it. Sure, I could sit here and try to objectively explain why Pit is underrated, but each time I thought about it, I never really had a great way to frame it. But with Port Priority happening recently, and a sort of second rising of the Corrins,
and me Gunner for some fucking reason,
I figured comparing and contrasting Pit to a character who's already seen as a contender for top tier in this game would be the best way to do it. And to do this, I thought I'd bring along a friend, one who's been playing this character for a lot longer than me, and probably has a better hold on the inner workings of Pit's kit. That's your cue, Amber!
Right, the Pits, Dark Pit and the other one, I think. When asking anyone about this character, you'll hear the same couple of things, whether it be him being honest or the definition of a mid-tier. None of these are true. In fact, it's honestly really funny hearing people say these things about Pit when just before Neo and Shattuck started getting good, people said the exact same thing about Corrin.
It also doesn't help that for most of Ultimate's life, there practically weren't any Pit players. Sure, Corrin only cropped up in the past couple of years, but that was a huge revolution of players flocking to the character. Pit has had top representatives now, but if we're talking about history, Corrin has had just slightly more reps. Not consistent high-level reps, just whether it be MKLeo's Pocket Corrin in 2022, or Cosmos deciding he wants to throw in a different way than usual, eyes were on Corrin from time to time. The closest we have to a Pit uprising is the modern combination of Zachary, Tet, and Meterun, with high-level players dotted around North America and Europe, in Silver, Mr. Ping, and Longo.
Now, to start things off, we're going to try and break these characters down into the simplest parts. We're going to be talking about everyone's favorite buzzword from 2017, functions. Shit, wait, do Smash players know what functions are anymore?
I mean, I don't.
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Alright, so functions are a more specific way to explain character archetypes. Like, for example, Lucina and Byleth. While they're both defined as sorties, there's still different aspects to them that branch out to different playstyles. Byleth has longer range and a projectile. Those aspects are referred to as functions, on top of her sortie archetype.
I don't get it.
Byleth picked a different secondary job.
Oh!
Right, so Corrin and Pit are both sorties with a projectile, but there's a few things that change between them. Pit has better burst options with his dash attack, better early percent combos with Rising Nair, a better grab game. Okay, you get the picture. Pit is way better.
Amber. Okay, let's be a bit more descriptive here.
Right! Okay, Pit is top 10.
God! Anyways, when it comes to Corrin, there's a few key moves you want to talk about when it comes to their general game plan, if you will. Notably in neutral, you'll see a combination of nairs, reverse up airs, and fairs. These moves not only give relatively good combos on their landing hits specifically, but Corrin's nair coming out on only frame 6 makes it an incredibly useful get-off-me option. I don't want to undersell these moves at all offensively. While nair only truly comes online around 30% and onwards as a combo starter, moves like down tilt, reverse landing up air, and forward air all lead into early advantage states. But most often, you're getting roughly 30 to 40%, which tends to open up more impressive juggle states and frame traps that you see these top Corrin players use to such great effect. This is how Shattuck tends to feel like anytime he presses a button, he's never really unable to capitalize on an opportunity.
Now when it comes to Pit, landing nair at 0, it does a bit more damage. The best part is, Pit isn't void of these frame traps and juggles that Corrin has. While juggling may not be as effective, because some of us don't have an up air the size of fucking Sagittarius A, it's still a consistent part of his advantage state. And even better, these combos stay in his kit for basically forever, thanks to the low knockback growth of moves like up tilt.
Pit also gets to utilize something Corrin absolutely doesn't get to effectively at early percents. Grab. If your opponent is shielding against Corrin at early percents, chances are you're gonna have to grab them, but that doesn't exactly mean you're getting a whole lot out of that interaction, besides maybe a bit of stage positioning and giving your opponent the equivalent of a mental middle finger. This is typical for sorties though. A good grab game means a good close quarters game, and it just makes sense for a character who's most effective at longer range to also not have access to a frame 7 combo starter when you get in on them. This is why Melee Marth, and more recently Rivals of Aether 2's Clarin, are war criminals in character design. Not saying Pit is as broken as Clarin.
I am!
Shut up, Amber.
While Corrin does have a kill throw with her up though, at low percents you can just kind of tank grabs the same way you would against Cloud or Fox. Now try doing that shit against a character with an actual grab game. While having throw combos may not seem like that big of a strength, it may just seem like an extra combo starter, but on a sortie, it makes neutral and specifically close quarter situations way harder versus Pit. Especially considering, look at this fucking dash grab hitbox. I am so goddamn carried. Having an extra close quarters options like this, especially when having one of the best dash attacks in the game, just makes that guessing game that much more difficult. Let me explain it like this. Pit is at this distance. What is he going to do to approach? Is he going to A, dash grab for an easy combo starter, B, dash attack for a quicker, safer call out for chip damage and positioning, C, rising there for an extremely safe, albeit short range combo starter, or D, dash shield to look for an option to exploit? You're wrong! It was actually a spaced low hitting back air, which is -3 on shield, disjointed, and is a combo starter at low percentages into grab. So you either can't punish him, or you take 50.
You're also forgetting to mention that Pit still does have a kill throw, and in a rare move for Smash Ultimate, it's on his forward throw.
Now, most of the time, characters prefer to have a kill throw on up throw, so that way, regardless of positioning, you can threaten a kill with grab. But not with Pit. Having a kill throw on forward throw means that his ledge trapping becomes infinitely scarier.
When you're on ledge, or near it, against Corrin at high percents, there's 5 main things you want to be looking out for. Number 1 is a spaced back air, and especially with how Corrins pushes them back, it can't exactly be whiff punished, but also it can't be spammed like some other back airs. There's also down tilt, which can lead into up air, a committal but rewarding forward smash facing away from the ledge, a landing forward air or neutral air to combo into back air to take a stock, and add in a raw up air to catch a jump read. These are all pretty threatening, and juggling risk-reward in the corner against these can already be scary. Imagine if they had more things they could do.
The thing is, with all these tools, is that Corrin doesn't really have a way to cover more than one get-up option. However, Pit does! Genuinely just standing and holding shield and reacting with the air can cover 3 out of the 5 universal get-up options. And even if you time it wrong, you're still safe! When Nair's auto-cancelled, it's -6, which is tricky as hell for a lot of characters to punish, especially with the disjoint the final hit has. If your opponent starts getting scared of your Nairs and Bears by ledge and starts to hold up their own shield, and you grab them...
Well, it happened. You got grabbed by Pit. Say, dear viewer, which way do you DI? Well, you would think into the stage. After all, you want to survive that kill throw, don't you? Well, tough shit. If you DI in, you get caught by down throw into up air. What a shame, you missed the 50-50.
Well, let's say you won that 50-50. You've turned this guaranteed stock into another 50-50.
Yes, Pit down throw into up air here is a confirm on DI in. But let's say you're still DIing out. Well, now Pit's threatening you with either forward air or back air in this situation. And depending on the stage, this can take stocks criminally early. And while down throw into up air isn't always lethal, under a platform, Pits are finding more ways to confirm landing up air into up smash to take the stock. Speaking of dash attack, I think we mentioned it sometime in there. One of Corrin's worst traits is their grounded mobility. If we take a look at each character's run speed and initial dash for Smash Ultimate, Corrin ranks 61 out of 89 characters, and 49 out of 89 for initial dash, which is remarkably slow. For instance, take a character like Luigi, who's known for having awkward ground movement and not enough mobility to get in on characters zoning him out. He's higher than Corrin in run speed. And when it comes to initial dash speed, Corrin is out here getting lapped by characters like K. Rool, Link, and Min Min. Meanwhile, the Pits outrank Corrin in both categories, ranked as the 33rd fastest in run speed and the 21st fastest in initial dash. And what does Corrin have? A frame 12 dash attack that doesn't even make you faster. This leads to Corrin not only struggling against zoners, but because of their floaty fall speed, it leaves the character locked in a metaphorical hot car without the AC on when it comes time to play disadvantage. For as good as Corrin is at juggling their opponents, they're even worse at getting down from being juggled. Sure, she has mix-ups, air dodging to the sides, using back air to maybe mix up your momentum, but for the most part, it's fairly straightforward to keep Corrin in disadvantage for a large period of time. And if the Corrin gets fed up and tries to recover to ledge, now they're being ledge trapped with some of the worst movement stats in the game. The only way they can make it back without relying on the universal options is pin. And God forbid you block that, because if you do, now they're looking at whatever type of punish your character can get off before they kick. And even if that doesn't straight up kill, now they're off stage without a jump with only a handful of ways to make it back to stage.
Now, being stuck at ledge is also a common issue for Pit. In fact, some of his worst matchups take advantage of this weakness. However, when it comes to being juggled and edge guarded, Pit has a far easier time returning to neutral. When it comes to options like Orbitars, his really quick aerials, and his multi-jumps, trying to keep Pit in the air above you is tricky for a lot of the cast. And speaking of Orbitars, the fact that can be B-reversed a la Snake Grenades makes catching his landings really annoying, even with his middling airspeed. One last thing. A really common habit I see from people unfamiliar with the matchup is that breaking Orbitars most of the time is not a good thing. When Orbitars break, it almost acts like a parry, even leaving Pit plus in some situations.
So we've gone over why Corrin struggles in disadvantage, sure, but clearly the character's mains can get around that, right? Let's take a look at a recent set from Port Priority 9, the set that eliminated Shattuck from the tournament in Lammers 44. Me Gunner is not seen as a good character for the most part, but from Corrin's perspective, how are you supposed to approach? You can watch this set for yourself and find genuine 30-second intervals where neither player is able to attack each other. Shattuck is simply dodging projectiles, waiting for a chance to get in, while Lammers is sending grenade after grenade. Since Shattuck doesn't have a way to force Lammers into a scrap without good movement, or a burst option, it makes it tricky. So how would Pit fare in this matchup?
Well, with better movement, especially with a better walk speed, which is really good for shield flickering against zoners, an amazing dash attack and a great reflector, Pit is much better at approaching here. This isn't even including factors like a better out of shield, safer edge guarding, and a better projectile to force approaches of his own. I can say that Pit confidently beats Me Gunner. But to be honest, who really cares? Yeah, Pit does better, but it's fucking Me Gunner. You're not exactly gonna run into them very often. Let's look at matchups into the more relevant characters in the game. Here is the current top 10 in terms of meta relevancy. According to Shattuck's matchup chart from last year, none of these matchups, with the exception of Falco and Palu, are winning for Corrin. Meanwhile, I could say that Pit beats more than half of these characters in the top 10. And that's not just me being, well, me. Mia puts Dark Game and Watch as a -1, Watanabe puts Pit in a similar position with his Falco matchup chart, and Raru is also placing Pit and losing on his own matchup chart.
But to get a more broad list of matchups for Pit, we should really be looking at a full Pit matchup chart. Amber, what are you doing?
It's my matchup chart! What, you don't like it or something?
So because the best Pit in the world is borderline retired, and the high-level ones aren't exactly reputable enough for my comments to let me coast off of their opinions, I decided to ask around and compile a list of about 10 Pit mains from all kinds of skill levels to get a consensus on how they do into the cast. Notably, a big deal is an even matchup into Sonic, which seems to be by far the most common opinion on that character. And it makes sense when you think about it. Dark Pit Arrow can stop Spin Dash, his aerials last long enough to catch air dodges to ledge and autopilot up B recoveries, alongside Spin Dashes to ledge, and fast enough options to actually force Sonic into a scrap and potentially win it.
Another interesting thing that came up in the matchup chart was two of the most common characters at mid and high level, Game & Watch and Rob, both were listed as slight winning. When it comes to Game & Watch, it's really easy to see why. Really good quick aerials and barrel and outspacing most of Game & Watch's kit. Not to mention Game & Watch having the perfect weight and physics to make Nair drag downs more than possible on him. But when it comes to Rob, it's for a very similar reasoning to Gunner. Really good anti-zoning tools. But unlike Gunner, Rob has some of the best normals in the game. How does Pit get around a frame 3 down tilt? Well, the same way we react to just about everything else on Shield. The good old spinny stick.
We're not calling it that.
I don't care, jokes aside, when Rob does 2 down tilts on Shield, there's actually a 7 frame gap in between them. And guess which move comes out on frame 7 out of Shield? Now, I know how cliche it is to bring up one small micro interaction and say, this is how my funny little niche character wins this meta matchup. But honestly, these kind of situations are all over fighting Rob in close quarters. Another part of the Rob matchup that a lot of people tend to struggle with is fighting against Rob's incredible recovery. While you may think Pit can chase off stage with his double jumps, what makes Pit really able to edge guard Rob is to make use of his arrows. Being able to stop Rob from ascending too far to reach or to force him to swat out arrows with his forward air. And of course, Rob Big. I don't think I have to elaborate much there. You hit this plastic piece of shit once and he becomes another clip in your Twitter combo video.
Speaking of characters being big, Sortie players, does this ever happen to you?
Last game.
Late dash attack, super save.
Get ready, chat.
Yup.
Get ready for it.
No
oh,
jump, parry.
Oh, if he got the triples over. Oh, we go. Fuck.
It's a common consensus in this game that, despite what some casual viewers may think, heavies have rather good matchups into sword characters. While we've been talking about Corrin a lot, this is an issue not pertaining to only them, as these past 2 years have shown us sets like Cola losing to Ball, Spargo losing to Rarikusu, and Mildna HO over Reno. Heavies have deceptively good range, and even some sorties with better combo games than others just cannot outpace them in advantage state. Add on edge guarding with giant hitboxes off stage, being killer for most recoveries, and you start to realize why Cloud players might have a point when complaining about the funny monkey. But you know, all it would take to be a sortie that beats heavies is just a pretty decent combo game. And that's what we've been talking about with Pit this whole time. Can you please keep up? Not only does Pit have a combo game made of the stuff dreams are made out of, but also depending on which version of Pit you decide to go for, they have really good edge guarding on all of the heavies. And I would know. I played against Donkey Kong enough times to see this monkey fuck in my nightmares. This actually sets up Pit in a very fascinating place in this meta. In an era where sorties are seen as the bastions of hope but lose to off-meta picks, is Pit the savior? Nope, still loses to Steve and Kazuya. Sorry guys, can't have everything. Alongside that, it's come to see Pit put a few rushdown brawlers into losing, which only makes sense. Characters like Fox and Me Brawler overwhelm Pit and just kind of don't give a flying fuck about any disadvantage mix-ups. But most notably, Pit mains still believe all of these matchups to be doable. We're working with a character here who's taken until the past few years to get a top rep, so there's still a lot left to be learned with what to do going forward. It just baffles me. In an age where multiple high-level players are learning a character like Sora to cover their bad matchups, why Pit is still falling by the wayside as a character of interest when he clearly has amazing attributes.
Wait, a combo heavy sortie with a projectile and really good edge guarding. What about Sora?
What about Sora? Hey, thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really supports me. This was also in collab with Amber, so if you liked her segments, make sure to go check her channel out. It'll be linked somehow. I know YouTube has some way to do it. Thank you to the channel members Lumi Luminosity, Linksicle, and Loco Soko. You guys are the best and help me just continue to do this every day. I'm gonna head out now. Have a happy December, y'all.